So I call him on the phone, and I'm just like, hey, can I ask you about something that I noticed you said yesterday? And he's like, okay, go ahead. And I'm like, you said that you were at your ex's house last weekend? And he was just like, yeah. And I was like, okay. I was like, did you have sex with her while you were there? And he was just like, yeah, absolutely. Of course I did. Yeah. Like, and that, like, okay, that might sound like that's not a big deal. Or it might sound like, okay, yeah, he's just an asshole. Like, that's what assholes do. But the sound of his voice, or the way that he said it, he was so cold. Like, it hit me like a truck, because he was so cold about it, and he was so like, I've never had any interaction with a human being where they sounded that hateful, or they sounded that like, it was just ice cold. Like, it just like I said, it just hit me like a truck. And anybody who's been through this with a narcissist, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm just like, are you serious right now? Like, I'm like pissed off, and I'm just like, you know what? Like, I'm done. I don't want to talk to you no more. And he's just like, okay, so then hang up the phone. Like, hang up the phone then if you don't want to talk to me no more. So I was like, fine. So I hung the phone up. And I was so upset. I was so like, I wasn't sad yet. I was pissed. Like, I was just mad, like completely pissed off. And I'm just like, no, like, I'm going to call him like later on. We're going to discuss this. Like, I'm going to curse him out. Like, no, because still I'm thinking I'm dealing with a normal human being. So I'm thinking like, okay, him doing this, like, maybe he literally, I mean, yeah, clearly we're not in a relationship. And, you know, maybe like I'm going to discuss it with him and tell him I hurt my feelings. And then maybe he'll apologize. And then after that, you know, we'll go about our business, right? But I thought I was dealing with a normal human being. I mean, I thought I was dealing with an emotionally healthy human being. And also, when you're an empath, you tend to put your good qualities off on other people too. So when you're an empath and when you're a codependent, you tend to think like that there's good in everybody, or you tend to think that other people will react to certain situations like you would. So if I hurt somebody unintentionally, like if I was just doing me and it happened to cause harm or hurt someone else's feelings, I'm going to tell them like, yeah, I apologize for hurting your feelings. We're not in a relationship, so I can't really apologize for my actions per se, but I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings. Like, maybe we shouldn't do this anymore, type of thing. So I called him that night. He was completely ignoring me. Then the next day, I called him again, and I was just like, he just answered the phone. His voice was just like, hello. Like he was so irritated by the fact that I was calling him. And I was just like, I need to talk to you. And he's just like, well, what do you want to talk about? Like, he completely was like, his voice was completely flat. He completely did not care. And that's how narcissists are. If you've dealt with one, you know. Once, like, they've been exposed for who they are, or once they do something that hurts you, like, they can't take responsibility for it. And they know. They know at that point that their game is over. So after that, they have no use for you. So there's no need for them to put on a mask or put on an act anymore. So he's just like, I'm just like, yeah, you really hurt my feelings. Like, you hurt my feelings of what you did. Like, I'm pissed off. Like, I'm so hurt. I'm so pissed. And he was just like, well, what do you want me to do? Like, you want me to put my dick on reserve for you? Like, and like, he was just so disrespectful, like, completely 180. Just completely disrespectful, completely just unnecessarily cruel. And at this point, I am completely triggered. And like I said, I mean, and I do need to mention that all these things are on a subconscious level. So if you have any abandonment issues, or if you have any childhood trauma, when you're triggered by a narcissist and their very cold attitude and demeanor towards your feelings, it'll be subconscious. So it's not like you can consciously be like, okay, I'm triggered, let me hang up this phone. No, it's on a subconscious level. So you're going to try to fight for that affection the same way you did when you were a child. It's like you're desperate for that affection, and you're trying to like change their tone. And that's why so many people stay with people in abusive relationships. They're trying to change them. It's traumatic reenactment, pretty much. You've been through a trauma as a child, and you are trying to fix that trauma. You're trying to almost go back in time and fix it by falling in love with someone who was just like your abusive caregivers and trying to change their mind about how they feel about you. And it always ends in disaster every time. And if you've been in an abusive, emotionally abusive, physically abusive relationship, then you know. So at this point, I'm like crying. This is the first time he's ever heard me cry, because I don't like to cry in front of people. You know, my sister probably has seen me cry, and very few people have seen me cry. I cry all the time, but not around people. So this is the first time he hears me cry, because I can't hold it in, because my feelings are just so hurt and I'm so extremely triggered. And he, like, me crying made him even more cruel. And this is like, this is the first time I'm even discussing this, because it was something that was so, it was just so traumatic. And I just couldn't believe somebody could be that heartless. But he pretty much, like, when I was crying, he was just like, oh my God, are you seriously crying right now? Like, he was so disgusted. He was just like, oh, like, I don't even want nothing to do with you. Like, I wouldn't even come see you now. I wouldn't even fuck you. Like, you're just, ugh. Like I was just, like, the lowest form of human being. I felt like, okay, like I said, I was so deeply triggered. I felt like I was 5 or 6 years old again. Like, I reverted back to childhood. It was that severe. And it's like, when you go through certain things in life, it's sort of like when you're young, you don't know how to cope with certain things. So you kind of like, it's almost like you put little band-aids, right? Every time, like, your caretaker or the person who's supposed to take care of you, every time they do something to you that hurts you, you kind of put a little band-aid on it every time. And then, you know, when you're a full-grown adult, your heart, metaphorically, just has these little band-aids on it, like from every little cut or every little slice that, you know, has been inflicted on you as a child. And when you deal with the narcissist and they discard you in that way, like they trigger you and then toss you in the trash, like, it feels like all those band-aids, like, they bust, like they like your heart just bursts, and like all the band-aids come like flying off, and you can feel everything. Like, but now I'm getting back into it. Like I was saying, we're still in the discard phase, and he just got really extremely vicious and continued to verbally attack me while I was crying on the phone, and then he just hung up on me. And I was pretty much down for the count. It makes you feel like you're an inch tall. Like I said, it reverts you right back to your childhood, and it's just not pretty. And no one really gets it, and no one understands, because if you've never been through this, it's hard for you to comprehend if you've never been through it. So you try to explain yourself to people, explain what's going on, and people just think that you're going through a bad breakup, and it's not that. It's like, it's something that's much worse than a bad breakup. When you come to the realization that, because during the discard phase, that's when people start to go and look for answers, and that's when you'll usually find out the person that you're dealing with was a narcissist. And coming to this realization made the pain almost worse, because you are faced with the fact that you were targeted. Basically, you were groomed and you were deceived. And the pain that comes with somebody that you really care about, like the fact that they've been playing a game with you like the whole time, and the fact that, like, basically they used your kindness against you, and you start to question your own identity. You start to question, like, okay, maybe me being an empath, or maybe me being such a loving, caring person, maybe that's not such a good thing. Like, maybe I should not be that. And it's a lot of shame that comes with that, because, I mean, it's kind of like who you are as a person. It makes you feel weak. It makes you feel like you have, like, this weakness that, like, people can prey on. And for the first time, that's the first time I ever thought that my kindness could be a weakness. I always thought my kindness is what made me strong, and me being so sensitive and me being so emotional, there was strength in that, which I still think that now. But for that brief moment, you know, after that situation, I was having, like, a really terrible identity crisis. I was down for the count for like a good 4 days. I could not eat. I was sleeping. That's how my body tends to deal with traumatic things. I tend to sleep through it. Like, my body is extremely tired, and I sleep through it, and I would be having, like, severe anxiety attacks, and falling to sleep after those anxiety attacks because I was so drained, and then I would wake up out of my sleep having an anxiety attack. It felt like, I don't know if anybody watching this is spiritual, on a spiritual journey or a spiritual path, but I am, and I have been for the past couple years. And so I don't really look at things from a physical standpoint. Like, I tend to look at things on a spiritual level, and I could feel, yeah, this was like a spiritual attack, to the point where I was extremely suicidal. And a couple years ago, or a couple months ago, that would have been something I would never share. That was so personal. But like I said, now that I'm on like I said, I've been on my spiritual journey. I'm really not afraid to admit to being suicidal, only because the way I look at it is just, suicide is just your emotional body being in so much pain, and like your physical body being in pain, and your soul wanting to leave that body. Pretty much. That's pretty much what suicidal feelings are. Just intense pain, and you wanting to leave your body to relieve yourself of that pain. So yeah, it got to that point, and I was reliving all my trauma. I was having nightmares, night sweats. I just felt like a child again. And there is a light at the end of this tunnel, I promise you. This is not how the story ends, because once I figured out that he was a narcissist, and once I figured out what he had done to me, and what he had, what he had purposely tried to do to me, try to break me down, and how he, got a kick out of bringing me that amount of pain, it's almost like you can go two ways. You can completely let it destroy you, or you can learn an immense, like, a life-changing lesson from that. And that's what I learned from that situation. I have always been the type of person that when somebody does me wrong, I need them to apologize, or I can't move on. And after going through that situation, it's kind of like, you're never going to get an apology from a narcissist. They are not sorry for what they do, first of all, and second of all, they think that you are the issue. They think that you are the problem. So going through that situation, it pretty much taught me how to forgive without the person who violated me being sorry, which is a very important life skill. Very important on your spiritual journey, learning how to forgive even when somebody purposely hurts you, because holding on to resentment, holding on to animosity, it just keeps your vibration low. Your vibrational frequency will always be low holding on to animosity. So I've been through the three phases, and the three stages, the three textbook stages of narcissistic abuse, but I just want to add my own stage to it. And the fourth stage that I want to add to narcissistic abuse is recovery. Because once you have been through this situation, there's pretty much nowhere you can go but up. Like, that is the lowest I've ever been in my life, the most intense emotional pain I've ever experienced in my life, just off the strength that it was done purposely to me by somebody that I loved, and the fact that it triggered past traumas that were also brought upon me by people who were supposed to love me. So it was a very intense, emotionally painful experience, and it almost feels like you die in a way. Like, it feels like you're being reborn. If you want to be, you have the option of staying down, or you have the option of getting back up. And I would just hope that anybody who is watching this, or anybody who can relate to this, or anybody who has been through this, I would hope that recovery is something that is on your must-do list. You have to get back up, and you have to get back to being you. You have to get back up, you have to get back to being yourself, but a more improved version of yourself. I always say, in this situation, in any situation in life, you're never supposed to let life harden you. You let life sharpen you. I am just as soft as I was before I met that guy. And I will always I will make sure that I always remain this soft. I like who I am. I like the person that I am. And I have gotten sharper from this situation. And I'm getting smarter about certain situations and how to protect myself, protect my energy, protect, my inner being, my inner child. from people who want to prey on me, or from predators. But at the same time, I will never let it harden me. I'll never let it turn me into a mean person. I'll never let it turn me into a person who is not accepting of love. So at the beginning of the video, I said that I would give you tips on how to cope, or how I coped. And how I coped was basically that. I allowed myself to feel. I allowed myself to cry it out, even if it took 4 or 5 days of just crying and not being able to eat, not being able to sleep. It does get better. Let it all out. If you keep it suppressed, it's nothing good can come from something being built up inside of you. So let it out, cry it out, journal it out, talk it out with people on forums who go online on forums to people who have been through narcissistic abuse to help you, because no one who has not been through this will be able to fathom what's going on, and they will not be able to help you. And the last thing you need is to be questioning your reality, or questioning that it really happened, because that's one of the things that narcissists play off of. They play off the fact that codependents tend to be uncertain or unsure of our feelings, and they can always use that to deflect. And they can always use that to basically act like they have done nothing wrong and that you're the problem. So you don't need anybody in your space who makes you question your reality. You need to be around other people who have survived this and who know what you're going through. So go on those forums, talk to those people, and give yourself self-assurance all the time. And just know that you're not crazy. You're not making this up. This did happen to you, and it is a severe form of abuse, and just the fact that you're still alive through it says a lot, because some people do not make it through it. Especially if you read these forums, you will come across people talking about their family members going through this and committing suicide, and it's horrible. So the fact that you're still alive says a lot, and you're supposed to be here. Let yourself feel the emotions and then ascend. Do not let it harden your heart or turn you into a narcissist. Establish better boundaries. Don't let people in as easily, but do not ever shut out love. The people who love you, keep them around you. And because love really does heal. And if you feel like you don't have people who genuinely love you, then be that person who genuinely loves you, and love yourself through the pain. And once you get through this, you're on like a whole nother level of strong. And I know it's like a cliche, like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But in this situation, it's 100% true. Once you get out of it, you feel like a whole new human being. Like it's kind of crazy how I feel like a whole new person, and these things brought forth these traumas. But had I not met this man, these traumas would not have been brought forth, and I would have continued to just keep band-aids over them instead of actually healing them. So I think that me feeling like a new person just come from the fact that I'm healing things that I was supposed to be healing. So despite what this man did to me, and what he purposely did to me, and how he tried to purposely bring me down, he is perfect. He was the perfect person for my life path and my journey, because I would not be where I'm at had I not met this man. And some people really are just that. They come into your path as a life lesson, and you can fail the test or you can pass the test. So I want to close this off by saying that I hope this video did help anyone who was maybe seeking help, maybe seeking answers, or just anybody who was looking for somebody who maybe understands. And I want to close by saying that any trauma that you've been through in the past, any people who have abused you or have done terrible, horrible things to you, that's their karma to live with, and they should carry that burden, not you. And that is the point of forgiving. Forgiving doesn't make you weak. It doesn't mean that the person that you forgive is deserving of your forgiveness. It just means that you don't carry the burden. It just means that you don't deserve to carry the burden of the trauma that other people have placed upon you. So don't carry that burden. Let it go. And that is the greatest lesson that I learned from dealing with a narcissist. So yeah, I hope that this was of help to you guys, and I guess I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.